Ready to enroll? What to know as the next chapter of Obamacare begins. In today's cover story, how family ties are strengthening the American economy, plus the side of the beer business remaining tapped into U.S. workers. And the guys debate what a strange chart pattern is screaming about the stock market. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Angela Miles. It's Friday, November 14th. In our first look, the Dow at 25. The blue chips closed at a record high for the 25th time this year. In other market action, the Nasdaq edged up 5 points. The S&P 500 added 1 point. Gold up $2 and oil plunged below $75. Nordstrom racks up a rally. Shares bolted 3% higher after the bell as the retailer topped earnings estimates. And in a tech check, Twitter's debt was given a junk rating by S&P, but says the risk profile is fair. Twitter tumbled almost 6% Thursday, and BlackBerry and Samsung sealed a deal to sell each other's mobile security technology. BlackBerry shares rallied 7%. Larry Shover of SFG Alternatives joined us on this Friday. Happy Friday to you, Larry.
Happy Friday.
We have retail numbers coming out today. Will it be a retail beat tail?
You know, I think it will be. The earnings have been mixed. However, there's been a trickle-down effect because of cheaper gas prices. We're going to see a big shopping season coming up, consumer confidence, all-time highs. So, yes.
We will also learn about the Eurozone GDP today. Could that stop the rally that's happening in the stock market and the fall of oil that we've been watching?
You know, I think theoretically it could, but just like the GDP in the U.S., it's really an overblown number that the media looks at. Not as important as industrial production and PMI. And there's this wide range of acceptability. As long as it's within that range, it's not really going to matter.
Open enrollment in Obamacare begins over the weekend. What stocks are you watching?
I'm watching two, and for different reasons. Caremark is one of them, Bristol Myers the other. Bristol Myers has gotten beaten up pretty badly because there's going to be a lot of reclassifications of drugs, and they're fearing the worst. However, I think it's not going to be as bad as feared. Caremark doing a lot more work in the HMO space, and again, it's been one of those stocks that people are fearing the worst, and when it all plays out, there's still going to be sick people that need help, and Caremark's really good in that space.
Larry, thank you for the thoughts today.
You're welcome.
Chuck Coppola brings us more on the Affordable Care Act, which will become more affordable in some states. Good morning, Chuck.
Angie, it's that time again. Open enrollment begins tomorrow. Uninsured Americans can shop for coverage, and it's an opportunity for those who enrolled last year to update their plans. Americans who do not pick a new plan will automatically be enrolled under their same or similar plan. Insurance companies are preparing to make changes to premiums charged for coverage purchased through exchanges. MarketWatch.com says in some states, the least expensive insurers are hiking premiums, while other carriers are reducing rates, some by as much as 35%.
U.S. companies went on a hiring blitz in September. The JOLTS jobs report from the Labor Department reveals 5 million people were hired in September, and the number of people taking a gamble and quitting their jobs rose the most in 6 years. It's viewed as a sign Americans are confident about the job market. The sectors with the highest hiring: manufacturing, healthcare, hotels, and restaurants, followed by professional and business services. Construction hiring declined.
Consumer confidence is surging ahead of the holidays. As gas prices tank, analysts say savings at the pump could encourage Americans to spend more as they gear up to shop for gifts.
What may be even more important than the overall decline in gas prices and the spending that may come with that is what's going to happen this holiday season. And people are feeling much better. The holiday shopping season starts in about 2 weeks. People are optimistic.
That was Jeff Leonard of the National Association of Convenience Stores. He adds, for every cent drop in gas prices, Americans collectively save $3.7 million per day. The group's survey found more than half of men and younger consumers said their savings could influence higher spending this Christmas.
Lower prices at the pump are spurring sales numbers at Walmart. Same-store sales rose for the first time in 7 quarters at the world's largest retailer as gas prices dipped below $3. Walmart warns, however, it's bracing for a brutally competitive holiday shopping season. The retail giant will match prices with Amazon and other online shopping sites to drive sales. Walmart shares had one of the best days in months due to the news. Shares rallied more than $3 yesterday.
Kohl's is looking forward to a strong Christmas season. That's despite missing on both earnings and sales for the quarter. Investors sent shares down 3% yesterday. Kohl's says it hopes to get a boost from a loyalty program that rolled out this quarter. This is the 5th quarter in a row year-over-year sales have declined.
Employees at Radio Shack are saying no way to working all day on Thanksgiving. The retailer originally planned to open from 8 a.m. until midnight on the holiday, but according to Bloomberg News, due to employee backlash, the store will close between noon and 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving.
Volkswagen is celebrating a victory. Its Golf model has been named the 2015 Car of the Year by Motor Trend magazine. The magazine calls it an inexpensive luxury car, which starts at $18,000. Michael Horn, president and CEO of Volkswagen of America, accepted the honor yesterday. The news comes as VW gets ready to change its stance on union representation at its Chattanooga, Tennessee plant.
So it's not about collective bargaining power with one union, but what we did now in Chattanooga is creating a platform for the employees to be represented by the by the union they choose. And there are different options.
The UAW is seeking the support of a majority of the Chattanooga plant's workers. It lost the original vote back in February.
General Motors CEO Mary Barra will be a no-show at an awards ceremony Monday. GM is canceling her appearance to receive the Katharine Graham Living Legacy Award in D.C. The decision followed protests by a group of people who say their relatives or friends were killed in GM cars. Defective ignition switches in older model GMs are linked to at least 32 deaths.
In our cover story, the family-owned business. According to the latest census numbers, there are roughly 27 million businesses in America, about 21 million owner-operated with no employees. That leaves about 5 million considered family-owned, not Walmart-sized family-owned, but a smaller family, a vital part of the economy honored in Chicago this week. It's a type of family photo, specifically Sasser Family Holdings Incorporated, one of 7 family businesses of the year honored by Loyola University's Quinlan School of Business.
The Sasser family has been able to maintain a niche of quality and service that sets them apart from their larger publicly traded competitors.
Fred H. Sasser built a rail transport business out of leftover parts in Chicago rail yards during one of the worst times for business.
He said the Depression was one of the best things that ever happened to him because it brought everybody else down to his level, as he was starting from scratch, and it leveled out the playing fields.
Now, as a 4th-generation family business, his grandson, Fred R. Sasser, says that the company leases and repairs rail cars for shipping, as well as auto and truck fleets, in $250 million worth of business each year. With about 425 employees globally, it looks for similar core values when it hires.
Family-owned business, especially depending on the size, there's going to be more access to the senior leadership.
Sasser Family Holdings is a private company and has resisted going public, which Fred Sasser and his son-in-law, Shad Peterson, say has kept the company focused on long-term rather than short-term goals.
Here, you're committed to your cousins and your aunts, your uncles, your brothers-in-laws, sisters-in-laws, and everybody else. So it's you realize that by saying yes, you can be saying yes for the next 20, 30, 40 years.
Researchers say the flip side of a family-owned business is when it imposes its values on employees, reminding some of the Kraft chain Hobby Lobby's decision not to provide certain types of contraceptives to its employees, a case that went before the Supreme Court.
On to the latest maneuverings in Washington. The New York Times reports President Obama plans to approve immigrant work permits for 5 million people who entered the U.S. illegally. But the White House says the president's decision is not final. Mitch McConnell becomes the next leader of the Senate. Harry Reid will become the Senate minority leader. Also, both houses of the lame duck Congress have moved to vote on the Keystone XL pipeline.
Wells Fargo is going to lighten its load of government-backed student loans. Wells is selling $8.5 million in loans to Navient, a student loan management company. The bank will focus on private student lending. Wells Fargo remains the largest private student lender in the nation.
Runaway prices are hurting home buyers. Affordability is dropping in already expensive cities such as San Francisco, San Diego, New York, Los Angeles, and Miami. While many financial planners say home buyers should aim to spend 30% of their income on housing, Mike Santee of Interest.com says some Americans are spending way above that amount.
In lots of these cities, families are spending 40%, 50%. I had someone in San Francisco tell me they were spending 70% of their gross income, their pre-tax income, on housing.
Santee says Minneapolis, Atlanta, St. Louis, Detroit, and Pittsburgh are becoming more affordable. He suggests knowing how much house you can afford before you start hunting.
The pace of foreclosures is picking up again. In October, 123,000 foreclosures were filed in the U.S., up 15% from September, according to RealtyTrack. Banks took over nearly 28,000 properties, up 22% from September, but down 26% from a year ago. The loans are mostly old and, due to the foreclosure process, moving faster as distressed properties are cleared for sale at auction.
As wintry weather bears down on the nation, most farmers are near the end of harvest season. 80% of the corn harvest is complete, and soybean farmers are up to 90%. The only exception is Michigan, where snow is coming down and corn is still in the field. However, this year's corn and soybean harvest remain on track for a record year.
In both cases, the actual production, the raw production of corn and soybeans are setting new records this year. And records we may not see for some time to come because the yields are so substantial here this year.
That was Dan Huber, general manager of the Huber Report. The abundant supply of corn could translate into lower prices on cookies and cereal.
Floyd Mayweather is the leader in the boxing ring, but it doesn't stop there. On Forbes' list of highest paid athletes, Mayweather tops the rankings, bringing home $105 million last year for just a single 72-minute fight, which, by the way, set revenue records for broadcaster Showtime. Real Madrid soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo ranked second, followed by Cleveland's LeBron James, Lionel Messi from Barcelona's soccer team, and the Lakers' Kobe Bryant.
Well, the read on the economy comes in today with retail sales for October, export-import prices, Michigan sentiment, business inventories, and natural gas inventories. Still to come, why the Bulls could be getting ready to run. Plus, pop quiz, why the guys can't believe how much this 20-something songstress is worth. And after the break, Handmade in America, the craft company that is tapping into business in the USA.
Number of deals are moving the market higher. Reports say toy maker Hasbro is in talks to buy DreamWorks Animation, the studio behind movies such as How to Train Your Dragon and Madagascar. The two are staying tight-lipped about the deal for now, but the New York Times says they are in advanced talks. DreamWorks shares jumped 14% yesterday to $25.53. However, Hasbro was down 4% at $54.97.
Warren Buffett is betting on batteries. Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway is selling its $4.7 billion stake in Procter & Gamble and buying Duracell, the battery arm of P&G. Analysts are puzzled why Buffett is going after the slow-growing battery brand. Buffett admits Duracell is not exciting but calls it a top-quality product that will fit well into his company. Bill Mueller is tapping into a company this morning with American pride.
Small scale made in America. Now, the impression is that small businesses that turn out handmade things have mostly left the American landscape, surrendering to the low-cost, high-volume manufacturers on foreign shores. Nope, Made in America is fighting back. AJS Handles, that's a Wisconsin company of just 55 employees, and they make one thing, tap handles. And they've grown their market share by doing it better than their foreign competitors. Andy Bauer is the head of the national sales for AJS. How big is the tap handle business?
The tap handle is a big business, and it's growing every day. There's about 3,800 breweries online right now. We personally do over 500,000 handles a year, so it's a pretty big business, that's for sure.
Now, when you're talking to a brewer and you're selling your product, and that brewer might be getting pitches from other companies, overseas companies, what's your biggest selling feature?
Well, a lot of companies overseas right now do the custom urethane molded handles, and we are able to do that too, but we add a handcrafted touch when we use wood products like North American ash. Just high quality materials, in the U.S.
Is it a tough sell, or in this day of Made in America, is it easier because of that fact?
It's actually becoming easier, in my opinion. Companies such as Miller Coors, really are looking for that U.S.-made product if they can swing it price-wise, and it's definitely something that's an easier sell nowadays.
Well, you said you make, what was it, $500,000 a year on average?
At least, yeah.
Okay, now Miller Lite comes in with this order of $60,000 to $100,000 at the drop of a hat. How do you build up to be able to absorb an order of that magnitude?
Essentially, we treat it as its own part of the business, is the way we did it. So it was creating jobs just to be able to get up to that level for handles.
So you hired on new employees to fulfill the order?
That's correct. Yeah, it's going to increase our capacity for after the Miller Lite order is done and beyond that as well, too. So, when they come calling, Miller Lite is obviously a very iconic brand, original light beer. So we want to be able to answer the bell when they come calling.
Andy Bauer, thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Coming up, corporate America plays the dating game, what it means for the stock market. Plus, do low wages equal higher stock prices? The guys are ready to rumble in Traders Unplugged next. To kick off a weekend is with a quick trip to CME Group for Traders Unplugged. Joining us now, Alan Eckman and Bob Iatino. Good morning, guys. And here's round number one. Are low wages good for stock prices?
Well, maybe in the short term, but you've got to remember that those employees are also consumers. They have to have money to spend in the long run, and it does cost a lot in the retail market, because most of these low-wage companies are retail stocks. It does cost a lot to train those employees. It says $3,500. That adds up to nearly a quarter of a year's salary.
Well, not to offend those employees, but it doesn't really cost a lot to train those employees. I actually grew up in the food service industry, and those are high turnover business.
Right. Would you have less turnover if they paid them more?
I don't think so, because the jobs suck, quite frankly. They're horrible, hard jobs to do. So those companies have very low margins. Grocery stores operate about 1.5% in their margins. So to pay higher wages actually makes a measurable difference.
Some of them I like as stock opportunities. McDonald's has an opportunity to get back up to 103, and looking at Starbucks, a move up here above 80 could see Starbucks go to 90.
Round two, the short story of the following 5 most shorted stocks. Which is a go in your book? The stocks include SiriusXM, Intel, Frontier, Comcast, and Micron.
Comcast, to me, is a huge short. I really don't like Comcast at all. I think they're a target of politicians, government. They're a target for
cable cutters?
Yes, absolutely.
People are getting away?
With the internet, Comcast, it's going to be a commodity at some point, whether the government does it or
So you're thinking this internet's going to stick around? It's for real?
I think the internet's going to be here. I don't think Comcast
Sirius is a $3.50 stock, so how do you short it? There's limited downside. The one stock that I think technically, and if you're going to go short, you've got to be very, very nimble. You've seen the markets come back every single time, is Micron. Micron had a triple top at 34, but again, you've got to be careful on that downside.
Round number 3, yelling, selling. It's been said a megaphone top is in play in chart action. Is this the beginning of the end for the stock market rally?
I don't know how many people can hold up these signs. It's the end. The end is near. The end is coming. I don't know. But if you look at the chart pattern, yes, it is a wide megaphone. So we'll see which way it breaks. But overall, the trend is up. The resiliency is amazing. And if you take the measured move of this last sell-off, we still have about a 10% more upside. Until proven otherwise, that's the direction I'm looking.
The problem with technical patterns is people like Alan don't know how to play them. He knows what they are, but they don't know how to play them. The issue with the upper end of the megaphone, right, is that you're supposed to sell against it looking for a break, but that goes higher and higher each time. So the pattern stays intact. Prices go higher, you're short.
So you're saying the market's going higher?
And your bonus round question for today, pop singer Taylor Swift recently made headlines by shaking off doing business with music streaming service Spotify. Can you guess her net worth? Is it $10 million, $55 million, or $200 million?
I'm going to go $55 million.
Yeah, $55
Isn't she like
million.
14 years old?
Yeah, she's like 9.
She's 24, and the answer is $200 million.
No way.
Wow.
That internet is working for somebody.
That's a whole other show. We've got to go on that note. Thanks for playing, guys. First Business continues right after this. Dan Deming of Equity Armor Investments is checking the charts for us this morning. Good to see you, Dan.
Good morning, Angie.
What do you see in the charts? Is the market about to take on a bullish or a bearish tone?
Well, I think if you're in the bullish camp right now, you'd have to say this consolidation is a pretty positive thing. We saw a huge run up. Now the market's kind of working off some of that overbought conditions and really not giving up much ground. So, ultimately, if we see us get through some of these news items we have this morning and into next week, it could be setting up for another leg higher here as we move towards Thanksgiving.
A number of deals are happening. Buffett is buying Energizer batteries. Halliburton is reported to be in talks to buy Baker Hughes. Will that drive the stocks higher?
Well, that's a positive across the board, Angela. I mean, when you see what's going on here, when you see continued M&A activity like that, that always, I think, serves as a nice backbone for the market to kind of feed off of and, from a psychological standpoint, kind of, again, cause that bullish tone to continue.
Where are you putting your money these days?
Well, we're kind of looking at a couple of different areas. Actually, the small caps is one area that we're looking for potential outperformance into the end of the year. Secondly, also the tech sector now. We're seeing that, again, break higher, and it looks, from a relative standpoint, a stronger area to be in relative to the other parts of the market.
Always a pleasure, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie.
We are out of time for today. Check us out next week for tips on how to turn your next round of golf into a tax break. From all of us at First Business, have a fantastic Friday.